Dynamic Entry. Welcome back to the channel, guys, and today we have a little fun one for you. We realize we've been doing this channel here for about, I think, 4 years now, but we've never really given you guys our official top 5 list of anime to watch, so that's what me and Chris are going to be doing for you today, giving you our top 5 favorite anime of all time. And let's preface this by saying this is our personal favorites. It's not your favorites, okay? If you want, you can roast us down below, because I'm sure it's going to happen. But just letting you know, these are our preferences, and whether it be the greatest technical animes ever, or just the ones that we enjoyed watching the most and having the most fondest memories of, that is the basis of what our favorites are. Now, anybody could pick the big 3. You pick, I feel like it's Pokemon. You pick your starter and you follow it along the rest of your life. Sure, you might enjoy the other 2. Every now and then you might go do a replay and pick a different starter. But forever, if anyone asks you, hey, what's your favorite of the big 3, you're going to have your one. And for me, it's always going to be Naruto. One Piece, I don't watch. I respect it. It's had the longevity. And Bleach, it's kind of cool, but for me, it was just a little too edgy for me at the time. And I was like, yeah, it's cool, but it's not Naruto. Naruto is the one that I had the fondest memories of watching. Whatever friend I had at the time growing up, they liked Naruto, and that was always cool to me. Like, you had the common ground of liking something, and it was always usually Naruto. Like, back when anime wasn't cool, they always say, like, oh, yeah. I gravitated towards the kids who were into anime, and it happened to be Naruto, and that's just the bridge for us. And it's just one of those ones where I have the fondest memories of watching. Sure, if you go back and watch it now, it doesn't always hold up, because there's so many fillers. Like, literally, there's like 300 plus episodes of filler, but it's something you had to have grown up with to appreciate more. So for me, Naruto is always going to hold a deep place in my heart. You know, you can argue the story all you want, how basic it is, how uninteresting Naruto is as a character. I get all that, but for me, my fondest memory is always going to be Naruto from the big 3.
So my number 5 also comes from the Toonami lineup, and it's actually one of the first anime I ever saw as a kid. And that would be S. Cry Ed, or I believe it's called Skraido in Japanese. It was my first battle shonen, and my goodness, when you grow up seeing like regular cartoons and then suddenly you go from stuff like SWAT Cats and stuff, which is kind of cool, to universe level altering powers on Earth, and everybody's got a unique gimmick, and like, it was the melting pot. And I think that we wouldn't have modern anime that it is now, at least in the sense of My Hero Academia and Naruto, without S. Cry Ed. The power scaling in the show is crazy. Ryuho is like the first like Sasuke Dream Boy you ever see, and I really think that they set the blueprint when it comes to how we look at anime now. I don't hear people ever talk about the show, if you ask me, but I highly, highly suggest that you take a look at its 26 episodes, because it's a dream. That's also a joke, because the 26th episode is called Dream. That's funny.
All right, coming in at my number 4 is going to be my man right here. He's tatted on me for a reason. Mob Psycho 100. One of the greatest new-gen anime. Love it because it's so short and concise. It's only 2 seasons. You can knock it out really easy. But for me, this is, I think, the creator one, his love letter to just childhood and growing up and finding yourself. And you know, One Punch Man is good and all that stuff, but I think Mob is like his baby. And if anybody asks you like an anime to watch, like a good starter, I would comfortably say that Mob Psycho can connect all the boxes of anime. It has amazing fight scenes. It has a great cast around it. The animation looks cool, and it's just, like I mentioned, a short and concise story that you can knock out in like 2 days, 3 days tops, and you'll be very happy with your experience. It's gonna make you feel warm inside. It's gonna make you feel emotions. It's just one of those things where it's like, oh, just a warm glass of milk that you want to take with you to sleep. Yeah, it has different layers too. You can, you know, dig your teeth into like deeper themes here and there, but on the base level, when you're watching it, you're gonna feel very safe inside. And it's just a beautiful show, and I think it's gonna get better with age when people go back and watch it and rediscover it years from now. They're gonna be like, oh, we don't talk about this, and it's like, no, there were people who talked about it. You just weren't looking in the right crowds. But yeah, Mob Psycho 100, I recommend everybody. So yeah, Mob Psycho 100, my number 4.
When it comes to stories, there are a few anime I feel that actually take themselves seriously, as Dungeon Meshi does, or Delicious in Dungeon for us here in the States. I wasn't really expecting this to become one of my favorite anime when I first heard about it, but I was just pulled in by the idea of eating monsters and diving deeper into a dungeon to keep alive. As I learned more about the story, I found out that I wasn't watching some campy, fun comfort anime, but I was watching the closest thing to Fear and Hunger like ever. Delicious in Dungeon is just like a real dungeon. On the surface, you still see a little bit of that light, but as you take the steps deeper, it gets more complex. There are turns and twists, and man, I gotta tell you, it's a delight the whole way through. Even though you have these moments, there's still plenty where the party actually takes time to rest and recuperate. And these moments are some of my favorites. Whether it be the characters taking the time to build recipes and feed themselves inside of the world, or just doing things like taking care of their gear, looking over spell tomes and everything. It's just, there's something lived in about the experience itself that I thoroughly enjoy. And I can't wait for the next season of Delicious in Dungeon to come out. I mean, I'm like chomping at the bit because I've heard it gets crazier and darker and weirder, and apparently a lot like Fear and Hunger. So I'm all for it. I've loved it so far, and I thoroughly think that if you want to watch an anime that's high fantasy but respects your time, Delicious in Dungeon is pretty good.
All right, coming in my number 3, it was really hard to not put this like higher, but when you see the other 2, you're gonna be like, okay, I get it. But a modern classic that has finished its story. It wasn't always the greatest, getting there a little shaky from time to time, but just one of the ones where like it can surpass the genre of anime, like break out of the stigma of being an anime. It's going to be Attack on Titan. It's just one of the greatest stories ever told, and seeing it unfold, like, and not having read the manga, seeing it and waiting for it, being patient, it was worth all of it in the end, because damn, what a great story we got here. What a layered character and a cast around them, and it's just one of those ones where I'm just like, man, this is started off as like a cool little show, and then the way it evolves and changes along the way, it's just one of those mind-bending experiences. And it's just one of those ones where it's like, for me, there are certain movies where I watch it like one time and that's enough for me. I don't want to go back and watch it again because it's going to ruin the surprise of everything happening. And I think Attack on Titan is kind of that way, where as much as I love it, I might not want to go back and watch it forever, or if not, just like a really, really long time. It's just one of those ones where the story is so cool when you're experiencing it for the first time that it's just like a true delight. And yeah, it is heavier in themes if you've never seen it. So if you don't like those kind of stories, or like, you know, war propaganda type stories, you might not enjoy it. But it is one of those ones where if you stick with it along the way, despite it being like a 10-part finale at the end, you're gonna love it. And it's just one of those stories where it's just like, oh man, how great it was to see this happen, and it happening in our lifetime. One of the wonderful like translations and adaptations from a manga ever.
This one is a little weird to put in the middle of the pack for me, but to be honest with you, I can't put an anime movie, so I'm gonna have to settle. As a big fan of Satoshi Kon, and him being my favorite of the anime directors that I'm actually familiar with, Paranoia Agent lives in my mind, and has ever since I first saw it when I was 12 years old, and probably the middle of the night watching Toonami. It blew my mind. I was always scared to watch like more serious, like adult anime, because I'm a coward and I don't like being scared, but I couldn't look away after seeing the little slugger hit the screen for the first time. Something about the absurdism in the show as a whole just started to pull me in, and from there, I got lost, man. I mean, there are so few anime, barring the next few that we're going to talk about in my personal opinion, that really, really cut their teeth against a narrative that's worth your time. Paranoia Agent is scary, and I don't exaggerate that. Whether it's the episode where the suicide pact is made and the kids are trying to figure out how to kill themselves, or maybe it's where we find out that the detective we're following along the scenes is actually one of the most corrupt people in our cast. It's weird, and I really, really implore people that are willing to watch a slightly darker story to take the time with it. I don't really like most anime these days because I feel that more often than not they go for exploitation rather than exploration of deeper themes, whether it be assault or violence against women. They harp on these tropes in order to get a point across, and I think it's really disingenuous to actual storytelling. Paranoia Agent doesn't really have any of that. If it brings up something, it's because they're trying to make a very real social commentary and connect to how things were going either in our society or maybe just Japan at the time. It's a beautiful, haunting story, and again, one of the ones I would say that actually has the respect for its viewer to not be perverse.
All right, coming in at number 2, it's actually funny because Chris and I actually share the same sentiment, so him and I are going back and forth. This is going to be both of our number 2s. Right here, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. That's right, man. So you know how I said a second ago, like if you watch a great movie, you don't want to go back and watch it. This is the opposite of that. Full Metal is one of those great movies where you're like, I'm gonna go back and watch this every 2 to 3 years because it's just one of those stories where every time you watch it, you'll get something new from it. For me, I'm still learning as we go. It's such a crazy and deep like power system. On the surface it seems simple, you turn this into this and that's alchemy, but like when you go and see like how these different people use different applications of alchemy, you're like, oh, this is crazy. And then you get into the whole like lore of like Nicholas Flamel and like real life alchemy and all that stuff. It just gets crazy, and along the way, you know, you see just again like the war propaganda and like the terrors of war and all that stuff along the way, and just seeing a story between two brothers too, and like sibling love like that. There's just so many story beats that it hits on, and the story itself is just one of those ones where it's just like a full, complete, like an Ouroboros, a complete great story where you're just like, man, this is solid. This is so solid that like I want to give this to you know, have people watch this along the way. I want to recommend it to everybody, and it's just a great and perfect anime. Again, it's one of those ones you want to revisit all the time. And arguably this could be my number one, but it only got beat out just because of favoritism and biased and just the different memories I have along with my number one. You'll see in a second. But yeah, just if this is ever in anybody's top five, you automatically have respect for them and you can never argue it. It's one of those unarguable top five anime where you're like, yeah, I get it. Obviously you're gonna have that in there. Obviously you're gonna have fucking Michael Jordan is a top five player of all time. Like that's just what Full Metal Alchemist is for me. It's a Michael Jordan of the anime world.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is number 2, and I don't shy away from that at all. My last comment I made was that I talked about how a lot of anime is exploitation without exploration, very disingenuous looks into the atrocities that man commits on man. And Full Metal Alchemist is one of the few anime that ever peels the curtain back and says, no, why is the system the way that it is? Whether it's the corruption inside of Amestris and the ultimate goal of Father to attain godhood, whether it's the atrocities committed on the Isfralan people, and Kimli, of all people, being the voice of reason to tell the soldiers, no, you are just as guilty for all the lives you take for glory, the show doesn't hold back, and it's one that doesn't try to either. It doesn't throw things in your face and it's just like, you're a terrible person, this is terrible, this is bad. No, it takes the time to respect the nuance and the intelligence of the readers or watchers if you're going directly for the anime. As an older brother myself with a very kind-hearted and large younger brother, the show resonates with me a lot like that too, and I do my best to try and be a good brother like Ed for my own Al, because it matters, man. I mean, the interpersonal connections that we form with people are so important, and I think that Full Metal Alchemist, of many anime, is one of the few that actually takes the time to really explore how those can hurt, help, or otherwise us in the grand scheme of things. It is a beautiful, beautiful anime, and if you've got the time, and you better make the fucking time, I highly encourage you to watch it.
All right, my number one anime of all time, I mentioned earlier, it's only number one because of the memories I have with it. It's going to be Death Note. I know, along the way, it's gotten a little cringy at points for people, but having watched it as it was coming out, it was one of the first shows where I was enthralled by how an anime could capture my mind and not just be like, oh, people are fighting, this is sick. I had happened to be watching Toonami one night, and it was playing an episode, and specifically it was playing the episode where he's trying to get the girl's husband's name or whatever, and he's trying the whole way like talking to her and trying to convince her, and she's a private eye herself, so she knows like how questioning works, and she's not stupid about it. She's like, I'm not gonna give this guy any information. And it's a battle of wits, and for me, I was like, damn, this is cool, a battle of wits. And yeah, just when I went back and watched it, I was like, oh, this is a crazy deep story. Again, kind of scratching the itch if you guys have watched our previous top 5 games of all time. Being like a detective in that world and having to solve things using your mind, I was just enthralled by it. And again, it's one of those stories that has like twists and turns where if you experience it for the first time, you're like, oh my, it was mind-blowing. Like some of the coolest shit to happen in anime ever, some of the coolest twists and turns. And there's a reason why it's like always talked about, because it is just one of those ones where the story's so cool, and along the way you get shocked and scared, and again falling into the whole like Attack on Titan thing where it's like if you've seen it once, having to go back is not going to have the same effect. But it is one of those ones where it's cool if you can find a first-time viewer and watch it with them to see their reactions as things happen. It gives me pleasure seeing like, oh, you're mind blown about this, or oh, you think this is going to happen? No, it's going to go a completely different way that you're not expecting. And it's just, yeah, one of those ones that's always going to be in my top 5, despite what people say about it and how memeable it's become over the years. It's just one of those ones that will always have a special place in my heart. And yeah, top 5 for me, number 1 in fact. So yeah, Death Note for me, just one of those ones where it's just my personal favorite. I know there's better and there's cooler or whatever, but for me, my favorite of all time.
Other than Delicious in Dungeons, you might have noticed there's not really any newer anime on my list, and it's because as I've gotten older, as I've matured more, I like to think, I've fallen out of love with the culture. I feel that more often than not, it is all shock value and show. I realize that I can love Dark Souls and the inspiration it pulls from Berserk and still dislike Berserk because I think it's gross. That being said, my number 1 anime is one that I've recently put up here because I feel that it is the first anime in a long time that has given me faith that the art style and the medium can continue in a very meaningful and respectful way, and that would be Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. I think that it was outright snubbed at the awards because it is wholly a superior story, but that's just my opinions. When it comes to the actual facts, Frieren is so different from any of its other contemporaries. I mean, starting at the end of a journey, but showing how time advances, getting the perspective of an elven character in a more authentic way, but seeing the passing of time, and yet, while time passes, nothing becomes unimportant. Every step taken is effort made, and it shows. Whether it be the choices that Flamma made in the past to prepare Frieren for her own 1,000 years of learning, or maybe it's the fact that Serie can't fucking grow up and see that she's not the smartest person in the world. There's just so much inside of the story that begs you to look deeper. And it's not always as overt as just being told something. Much of this is inferred through facial expressions, understanding interpersonal connections and relationships, or, little exposition here and there. But overall, I think Frieren remains very genuine to its own storytelling while still being quite entertaining. And even if you want high, big action, I mean, there's a few episodes where that really comes out to play. It's not as simple as just telling a story, but bringing you along the journey. I love it. And while I've really stopped watching anime for the most part, this has definitely made me want to start again because, it's made me a little hopeful. So that is going to be our list of favorite anime. Like we said, it might not be your personal list, and they're rather different if you ask me. I like that about me and Nate. We have wildly different tastes, but I think that there's a lot of commonality between the stories that we've chosen as far as like depth and stuff. But what do I know? Maybe nothing, and you're free to tell me that down below, or, let us know how you feel about the 10 anime we've presented, or 9, I guess technically. Have you watched them? Have you participated in yourself? Do you feel the same way I do about Berserk? Let me know down below. You can also share this video and send it to somebody you know. You could check out all of our different pages because we're in a whole bunch of spaces and places. And hey, thanks for watching the video. Appreciate the time. Peace.